Hi guys, how are you all today morning? Good morning. Today is 13th August 2023. My name is TSV Raghavan and I live in Chennai, Tamil Nadu, India. This is my spiritual vlog on YouTube. Haribol TRSV Nectar NECTAR Nectar. The complete name of this vlog is Hardan 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 Haribol TRSV Nectar NECTAR Nectar. In this particular vlog, in all my previous videos, we have been discussing about the knowledge and information that we have gleaned through the study of spiritual books, scriptures, contemplation on the material universe, and meditation on the spiritual universe. This particular video in this vlog is no exception to that rule. In fact, it is a mere continuation of all that we have been doing in my previous videos. Kindly subscribe to this vlog and press the bell icon so that I may keep reminding you of all my previous and future videos. So let us continue with the topic of discussion for today's video. We have already discussed about the importance of focus in the psyche and life of a human living entity. A human living entity or any other living entity is one which is a spirit soul enveloped in four layers of material body: the causal body of intelligence and logic, the astral body of mind, feelings, and emotions, the etheric body of five senses, namely sight, seeing or hearing, sight, hearing, smelling, taste, and touch, and the fourth gross body, which is used to identify this living entity in the material world, plus to carry out the orders or instructions from the vibrations of the three subtle bodies that are causal body of intelligence, astral body of mind, and etheric body of senses. This living entity must realize that it has come here not to lord it over the material nature, but to carry out an assignment for the Supreme Personality of Godhead as His eternal servant. However, 75% of humanity at a time fails to even realize that it is a servant of God. It keeps floating around like zombies in this society, suffering all the pains of this material world and going through the grind of life as if it is their destiny. However, 25% of humanity, which once was a part of this 75%, ultimately realizes that it is a servant of God and that it has come here to carry out an assignment for the sake of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This assignment may be material or may be spiritual depending upon the evolvement of a particular living entity. Those who are realizing that they are indeed servants of God, but who have not become completely spiritualized or have not started walking on the spiritual path continue to carry out material assignments for the sake of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whereas those who are on the spiritual path continue in that path and try to get an assignment for the sake of God, from God, and to carry out that spiritual assignment to benefit the humanity in general. In that process, these spiritual people who belong to only 5% of the 25% category or bracket come to self realization or at last after a particular period of meditation and contemplation begin to realize the self and then they try to get liberated from this repeated continuous cycle of birth and death. When this liberation is achieved, this soul, which was raw before being enveloped by the material body, comes to realize its true self as an evolved spirit soul, and then the final step is to go back to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This third step and the final one is called as deliverance. Self realization, liberation, and deliverance are the ultimate path of every spirit soul, whether or not it belongs to the 75% or the 25% of humanity in the society. However, only 5% of humanity at a time actually realizes that these three are its main aims. In this process, we talked about focus. Focus is when that living entity surrenders himself or herself to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and tries to fall in love with that particular material or spiritual assignment and to carry it out dutifully, efficiently, religiously, and spiritually. In other words, a person who realizes his or her true status as the servant of God and gets an assignment to be worked out for God must allow that particular assignment to grow into him or her in such a way that it becomes an extension of that particular living entity. He or she falls in love with this assignment completely without any possibility of distraction towards other forces of life. It is a must to carry out this assignment successfully. However, we must realize that this does not happen or may not happen in one lifetime. Every living entity, after it comes into the 25% bracket, realizes that it has to carry out an assignment, but that is only the beginning. After that, this assignment initially is only material, it is not spiritual. Even here, this material assignment need not be carried out by that living entity completely in one lifetime. He or she may come to one stage in the work in progress in one lifetime. However, he or she gets an opportunity to progress further and carry out that assignment in another lifetime. I will give you an example. It is possible that one guy who is quite humble and who initially belonged to the 25% category realizes that he or she has an assignment. But initially, this person does not know what it is. However, this destiny gives him or her an opportunity to get into that groove of that particular assignment. This person, suppose his or her material assignment is to be a successful lawyer. In that case, this person may initially in one lifetime become a peon in a law office or court. In the next lifetime, he or she may get facilities to become a law student. Then he becomes an intern, then a trainee, then a person who is a full-fledged pleader, then a lawyer, an advocate, a judge, a prosecution lawyer, or a successful defense lawyer, a constitutional lawyer, etc., in different lifetimes. Ultimately, he or she reaches the pinnacle of success in one particular lifetime as a lawyer. It does not happen in one day. we have been discussing about various case histories to authenticate the genuineness of this particular status or this particular theory of focus in the life of a living entity who has realized his or her assignment in life. Today we shall discuss about another such case history. Kindly keep in mind what I told you about the stages in various lifetimes to carry out an assignment. Only when you keep this in mind will you be able to understand this case history. There was one very talented, affluent, and successful producer and director who hailed from the province of Porbandar in the state of Gujarat in India. This person was a Gujarati, but because the film industry is in Bombay, the commercial capital of the state of Maharashtra in India, this guy relocated to Bollywood, the film industry of India, situated in Bombay, Maharashtra, India. This person became a successful producer and director in the film industry. On September 1948, one day, one boy was born to this person whose actual name was Nanu Bhai Bhatt. The boy who was born was christened as Mahesh Nanu Bhai Bhatt. It is the case history of this particular boy that we shall discuss in detail in this particular video. Probably the living entity which was born as Mahesh Nanu Bhai Bhatt in this particular birth must have gone through the grind in various stages and lifetimes when he or she realized or his assignment in this world, which was material by nature. Probably this boy had to make it big in the films as producer and director, and so after going through various stages and grinds in the struggle to become such a producer and director, this living entity, who was now Mahesh Bhatt, was born in the family of Nanu Bhai Bhatt so that he could achieve that particular success in the film industry. Because of this, because of his own subconscious memories of the past, plus his upbringing in the family of a successful producer and director, Mahesh Bhatt grew up as a very bright, intelligent, educated, erudite, and talented young man. He was so glib in talking that one producer, who was quite famous himself, praised this boy's excellent intelligence even when this boy was hardly in his teens or early 20s. This boy had an uncanny ability to visualize how to make a film. This boy, after some initial struggle, began directing films in the Bollywood film industry of India. Believe it or not, even though he was in his mid or late 20s, he made a film called Saransh, which won the national award in the Indian subcontinent. This national award was given by the Indian government to Mahesh Bhatt for being a director of a movie called Saransh. Once he had achieved this status, there was no looking back for Mahesh Bhatt. Soon enough, as was expected, this guy was accepted by the film industry and he began making films right, left, and center. Mahesh Bhatt was famous or popular even before he made his first film because he was quite popular with the press of the film industry of that period. When he began directing films, producers tried to make films with Mahesh Bhatt. This guy went on record saying that if you want to achieve something, you must be obsessed with it and you should do it in excess so that it reaches the saturation point. You need not do things in bits and pieces because if you do that, you will not reach the ultimate level in that particular assignment. As they say, it is quite lonely at the top. To reach that lonely spot in the top, you have to strive hard to achieve your assignment in life. If you are at the top, your level of maturity, experience, talent, and success is supreme, and no one is able to reach that level. Mahesh Bhatt wanted that level. A period came when Mahesh Bhatt was said to be an assembly line director because he used to complete two or three projects in a year and almost all of them were hits. He made several very successful movies and gave some very legendary roles to artists from the film industry. He tread a new path for the film industry to cast artists and other technicians in the film industry in such a way that their talent could be exploited excellently or to the satisfaction of the audience and the artist himself or herself. Mahesh Bhatt chose different artists and different subjects to make films, and it was surprising that he could make three different films on three different subjects in 1 year. After Mahesh Bhatt made several such films and reached the saturation point, he decided to give the megaphone or the director's job to his own cronies, cronies, colleagues, associates, and assistants, and he himself took up script writing for those films. Because he himself was the writer of those films became quite well known and successful in the film industry. Not only that, after proving his worth as a successful producer, director, and writer, Mahesh Bhatt one day during this busy schedule locked himself up in a hotel room and wrote his own autobiography, which also became a hit. Success was kissing the doorstep of Mahesh Bhatt. He and his family became a movie mogul in the successful Bollywood film industry. Mahesh Bhatt's presence and voice is still respected, accepted, and looked upon to give sane advice and suggestions in various disputes and meetings for the sake of Bollywood and its people. This man has a sagely experience and appearance in this film industry when it comes to talking about the technique of film production and direction of a film. He is an authority who has reached one pinnacle of success and has probably become lonely at the top as a film producer and director. Mr. Mahesh Bhatt's life story has to be read, and we should all take a leaf out of his life story to understand how to carry out our assignment. Mr. Mahesh Bhatt, in so many words, told everyone that when you take up an assignment, you should go completely all out to complete that assignment, and you should never leave any stone unturned to achieve that particular purpose. The term he used for this was excess. He said that obsession and excess are very necessary to achieve the ultimate impossible. Unless and until you think about that subject with such devotion and dedication, it will not look at you favorably. This one must remember when he or she tries to achieve something of an assignment in this life, whether or not it is material and whether or not it is spiritual. This is one particular advice from a person like Mahesh Bhatt that we should have or we should consider before going on our journey to achieve our own assignments. This is all I wanted to tell about assignments, focus, love for an assignment, and completing our aims in life, whether material or spiritual. Kindly let me know what you think of my talk on this particular matter. Please give me your own sane advice, suggestions, views, and opinions so that I may blend everything together for the sake of this society. Before concluding, let me remind you that I am also a published author with Amazon Kindle and paperback. I write on spiritualism, fiction, and assorted subjects. Spiritualism happens to be my favorite subject. Till we meet in my next video, it is good morning from TSV Raghavan.